Do you remember the last meal you had with your family? The taste of the food, the sound of their voices, the feeling of safety. I remember mine. November 23rd, 2023, Thanksgiving. The Grant family, 12 people around one table. I was the spoon in Eleanor Grant's hand. Grandmother, 67 years old. She made the butternut squash soup, her specialty, for generations eating together. Everyone said it was perfect. Everyone was wrong. Because 27 minutes after Eleanor took her first bite, she was dead. Check right now if you're subscribed to the channel. Also, write in the comments where you're watching this video from. My name is Spoony. I'm item number 23. I'm locked in permanent storage now, in a place they don't let me leave. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happened that day. Let me start 3 days before Thanksgiving. November 20th, 2023, Monday morning. Eleanor Grant woke up at 6 a.m. like she did every morning. She lived in a small house in Connecticut, white picket fence, blue shutters. The kind of house you see in movies about perfect families. Except nothing is ever perfect. Eleanor was preparing for Thanksgiving, her favorite holiday. Every year, she hosted her children, their children's children. For generations. This year, 12 people total. She had a tradition. Butternut squash soup, her mother's recipe. Her grandmother's before that. She made it from scratch. Fresh butternut squash, heavy cream, sage from her garden, salt, pepper, love. That's what she always said. The secret ingredient is love. She was a good person. I want you to know that before I tell you what I did. November 20th, Eleanor went to the grocery store. She bought organic butternut squash, heavy cream from a local dairy, and disposable utensils, plastic spoons, for serving, just in case we run out of silverware. She told the cashier. The package said food safe, BPA free, recyclable. It was a lie. The spoons came from a factory in Ohio, batch number 4782, manufactured October 2023. Quality control had failed. Industrial chemicals had contaminated the production line. Trace amounts undetectable to the naked eye, but enough. I was spoon number. I don't know. They didn't number us. We all looked the same. White plastic, 6 inches long, disposable. I was in Eleanor's hand before I even knew I existed. That's the thing about being an object. You don't get to choose who uses you. You don't get to choose anything. You just exist and hope you don't hurt anyone. November 23rd, Thanksgiving morning, 6:30 a.m. Eleanor's alarm went off. She got up immediately, excited. Her daughter Sarah arrived at 8 a.m. to help cook. Her son Michael came at 9 a.m. with his kids. The house filled with noise. Children running, adults laughing, the smell of turkey roasting. Eleanor was in her element. At 11 a.m., she started the soup. Butternut squash, cubed. Into the pot. Cream, sage, salt. She let it simmer for an hour, stirring occasionally, talking to her grandchildren while she cooked. They asked her, "Grandma, why do you make the same soup every year?" She smiled. "Because tradition matters, sweetheart. When you're my age, you'll make this soup too, and you'll remember me." She was right. They'll never forget. 12:30 p.m. Guests started arriving. Michael's wife, Jennifer. Sarah's husband, Tom. Sarah's 3 kids, Emma, who was 12, Lucas, 9, Olivia, 7, Michael's 2 kids, Noah, 14, and Lily, 10, and Eleanor's sister, Margaret, 76 years old. 12 people total. The table was set. Turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and the soup, Eleanor's famous butternut squash soup. She brought it to the table in a large ceramic pot. Blue, hand-painted, a gift from her late husband. She was so proud. She went back to the kitchen to get serving utensils. Silverware was already on the table for the main course, but for the soup, she grabbed the package of disposable spoons, the ones she bought 3 days earlier. She opened the package, took out 13 spoons, one for each person, one extra just in case. I was the third spoon from the left. She placed me next to her own bowl. I was hers. 1 p.m., everyone sat down. Eleanor at the head of the table, her daughter Sarah to her right, her son Michael to her left. The children scattered around, talking, laughing, phones out despite Eleanor's no phones rule. Margaret, her sister, sat at the other end, smiling, quiet, watching her family. Eleanor stood up. Before we eat, she said, "I want to say something." The table went quiet. "I'm grateful," she said, "for all of you. For this," her voice cracked a little. "I know I'm getting older. I don't know how many more Thanksgivings I'll have with you all. So thank you for being here." Sarah reached over and squeezed her hand. "Mom, don't talk like that. You'll be here for many more." She was wrong. Eleanor smiled, picked me up, dipped me into her soup. The first bite, she paused, frowned slightly, then whispered, "Tastes strange." No one heard her. The table was loud, kids arguing over who got the biggest piece of turkey, Michael telling a story about his job. Eleanor took another bite, then another. She didn't want to waste it. She'd spent hours making it, and maybe it was just her. Maybe her taste buds were off. She was 67 after all, so she kept eating. By 1:15 p.m., she'd finished her bowl. She looked fine, smiling, talking, refilling her grandchildren's cups. At 1:20 p.m., they moved on to the turkey. Eleanor carved it herself. The grandmother's job, she said. Everyone ate. Everyone laughed. It was perfect. At 1:27 p.m., everything changed. Eleanor stood up, said she needed to use the bathroom. Sarah asked if she was okay. "Fine," Eleanor said, "just a little dizzy." She walked toward the hallway slowly. Then she stopped, put her hand on the wall, and collapsed. Sarah screamed, "Mum!" She ran to her. Michael was right behind. Eleanor was on the floor, eyes open, but not seeing. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. Sarah yelled at Tom, "Call 911 now." The children were frozen, staring. Emma started crying. Margaret, Eleanor's sister, stood up slowly, walked over, looked down at Eleanor, and said quietly, "Oh no, oh no, no, no." Michael was doing CPR. He'd learned it in a corporate training seminar. Never thought he'd use it on his mother. Sarah was on the phone with 911. "My mum. She just collapsed. She's not breathing right. We're at." Ambulance was 6 minutes away. At 1:32 p.m., Eleanor stopped breathing. Michael kept doing CPR, begging, "Come on, Mom. Come on. Stay with me." The children were being taken to another room by Jennifer, but Noah, 14 years old, stayed. He watched his grandmother die. He never looked away. At 1:33 p.m., the ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed in, took over, checked her vitals, loaded her onto a stretcher. She was still alive. Barely they took her to the hospital. Sarah and Michael followed in their car. The rest of the family stayed behind in silence. The Thanksgiving meal was still on the table. Turkey, half-carved mashed potatoes untouched, and the soup, Eleanor's famous soup. I was still there, on the table next to her empty bowl. At 2:04 p.m., Eleanor Grant was pronounced dead. Cause of death, cardiac arrest. Secondary cause, acute poisoning. Unknown toxin. They tested everything. The turkey, the potatoes, the soup. The soup came back positive. Contamination. Industrial chemicals. Traced to the disposable spoons. They tested me. I was toxic. November 24th, the day after Thanksgiving. The Grant family didn't eat. They sat in Eleanor's living room trying to understand. The CDC came, sealed the kitchen, took samples of everything, including me. I was placed in an evidence bag, labeled sent to a lab. Sarah called the company that made me. She screamed at them. "You killed my mother. You killed her." They offered her a settlement, $50,000. She hung up. The funeral was small, immediate family only. They buried her next to her husband in the same cemetery where she used to bring flowers every Sunday. Emma, the 12-year-old, didn't cry. She just stared at the casket. Later, she told her mother, "Grandma said tradition matters." She said, "When I'm older, I'll make the soup and I'll remember her." Sarah started crying. Emma hasn't made soup since they sent me here to permanent storage. Item number 23, a federal vault for objects that killed people. I'm locked away forever. I can't hurt anyone anymore. But I think about Eleanor every day. The way she smiled when she carved the turkey. The way she said tradition matters. The way she whispered, "Tastes strange," and kept eating anyway. I was just a spoon. White plastic, 6 inches long, disposable. But I killed her. So tell me, am I guilty? Or am I just unlucky? I don't know. I'll never know. That was my confession. If this story made you think, hit the like button right now. Write in the comments what you think. Am I guilty or just an unfortunate object? And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to Spoony and Friends, because next time, another object will break their silence. And trust me, their story is even darker than mine. See you in the next confession.